would you really like if someone just picks up your idea and goes away? And as consumers, as students, as industry professionals, as academicians, I'm sure that you are aware of the fact that the moment your idea or anybody's idea becomes a hit, there are people to copy it the very next day. There are there are painters who wants to paint the similar thing copying your work. And imagine Thomas Edison, who we know, all all of us knows him so well because of his intellectual. Imagine if he could, his invention, his work could never be recognized just because it was passed to a neighbor as his own. So therefore, the protection of intellectual property becomes extremely important. Different subject matters that are eligible for protection, registration that can be done, which gives you a government recognition. You are the one who is a creator. You are the one to whom this IP belongs. Well, there are different types of IP. Um, this ranges from industrial design to patents, copyrights, geographical indications, trade secrets, plant variety, and several others, right? Trademark, design. I have just put in the boxes for a very select few of those, but there are several others. Well, what is a patent? A patent is an exclusive right which gives you a monopoly for 20 years. And people who want to use your invention, they have to come to you, they must come to you. And if they don't, there could be a legal suit filed against them. Patent or intellectual property in general is just like your tangible property, if I may say, because whatever you can do with your physical property, whether it's your car, your home, your watch, you can do exactly all the similar things with your intellectual property or the intangible assets. You can sell them, you can license them out, you can give that in the form of a franchisee. In fact, it is so good to see that there is a 4-year-old child, or I don't remember exactly the correct age, but he has, such a small child has been able to receive a grant of a patent in one of the countries, which also shows, like I said, that it is age agnostic. So patent is something that gives you an exclusive right for the technology that you build, for the innovation that you come up with, which is novel, which has an industrial application, and which is non-obvious. Uh, okay, so please do please do keep putting your chats so that I know if I have to stop somewhere, if I have to explain you a bit of a thing somewhere, or if you have any question, do please put it on a chat. It gives me also an acknowledgement that I'm being heard, because otherwise I feel like I might end up just talking to my computer. So I think that's the fallout of COVID, that we can't see each other, but at least I can't see you right now, but I can only see my laptop, and I can only see myself. So please put your questions in the chat box, or any comments as well. So copyright, what is a copyright? Copyright, it could be an artistic work, right? I think we are all born artists. You see a young child to an age-old person, we are just talking in a sense that some creativity always comes out of our mouth. It could be a drama, it could be a song, it could be a poem, a book that you may have written. It could also be a cinematograph film. It could be anything that falls under a work which is artistic in nature. It also includes a computer program, and so many other things. As you can see, the paintings, the music, um, the maps, advertisements. In fact, the presentation that we are making right now, the way you express this presentation has a copyright. And if, let's say, tomorrow you are invited in some guest lecture, or you are giving some presentation at the organizer's platform, that present, even if you've been, let's say, paid, hypothetically, you've been paid to make that presentation, right? That presentation belongs to you. Just by getting paid doesn't mean that you have already given the rights to the organizer. So copyright gives you that authority uh, to uh, to to continue to have your right over the work that you create, so that people come to you and ask for your permission if they want to use your work, etc. Trademark, well, this is one of the most interesting IPR domain, uh, something which is so vibrant because brands is something that we see every day, whether it's your car, whether it's a Mercedes Benz or a Maruti, or a Pepsi bottle you're holding, any ISI mark. These are all trademarks. Trademarks meaning you trade under that name, which means that where consumers are able to distinguish your product from the other just by merely looking at the word. Um, Similarly, if you see logo here of intellectual property, talent search examination, this is itself a trademark. You see Asocham or Ericsson, all these are trademark which distinguishes your work, your service, your product from other. And all these trademarks can be protected under the intellectual property rights under the Trademark Act. We have industrial design as well, which is 2D, 3D pattern. So, for example, the mobile phones that you have in your hands all the time, this has a particular design. So, the outer appearance of anything that you hold, the product, goes under the industrial design. You have geographical indication as well, and also the trade secrets, where the secret that you keep with you, especially the recipes. Now, no one knows how KFC chicken is made, or how what is ingredient for Pillsbury Chucky fresh atta. So these are all the secrets, and these secrets also are considered to be an intellectual property which needs to be safeguarded. Um, okay, so here we come finally, which is the topic of our discussion today, which is what is the role in IP, role of IP in career building. I think when we were students, when I was pretty young, many years ago, the only thing which was in my mind is ya to doctor banna hai, ya engineer banna hai. That those traditional things always were there in my mind. Even mere bacche ya when now they've grown up quite big, there is again a traditional thing that keeps entering their mind, that what should I become? Should I be a lawyer? Should I be um, a biotechnologist? So ये जो traditional career people usually pick up, um, intellectual property, having understood about IP, this actually opens up completely new opportunity and domain for you, right? Shifting yourself from very direct traditional means of profession to actually entering into the realm of IP. It doesn't mean that you have to be into. It could be a direct career. It could be indirect as well. In fact, the doctors today, the engineers, the lawyers, management people, uh, those who are chartered accountants, any any traditional profession that you pick up, in in every profession, intellectual property has become a must, I would say. Now just consider one case of fashion design, and we talked about Ritu, who's known to be famous fashion designer. How she used intellect. Now she doesn't have a profession in IP, but she's been able to use intellectual property in order to make her career even better. How? Because when she created her design, it was copied, everyone liked her design, but since she was smart enough, she knew that there is something called as IP, she has a right over it. She was able to sue others she was able to claim her right over it. And that's how her traditional profession and intellectual property became quite integrated. Similarly, if you look at Chetan Bhagat, he is a famous writer. He was never a famous writer until the time Three Idiot movie came out with, right? No one knew him. But it doesn't mean that he never used to create good work. He always. But the moment one producer found that, oh, novel is so good, let me put it in the form of a movie, and everyone liked Three Idiot, and then he said, though it's my property, you took my work and converted into a movie, and you didn't even give me a recognition. Imagine if he was not even aware of his intellectual property, would you have ever heard about his name? So therefore, I think when it comes to career making, it is, or career shaping, I would say, it doesn't really matter what career or profession you have as an existing one. You can always make it better with multiple stars over it if you know the nuances of IP, that either you could be a creator yourself or you could even help others protect their invention. Now, going forward, I think with a lot of awareness in the country, people now know that there are completely whole new sort of opportunities. You can actually pick intellectual property as your own career, the direct career. I know of a lot of people, who work with me as interns, as research scholars. When they when they stepped to me for some work, they never knew that IP is going to be so interesting for them. So it was just like a sheer luck. But that turned out to be their one of the key professions going forward, which they could have never imagined. So from this slide onwards, I'm just gonna show you what are the career opportunities that exist in the field of intellectual property. Keep your mind open, and my only wish list is that when you hear on all of this, in the subsequent slide, imagine yourself in your own mind, be a spectator and be a person who is being observed, and as an observer and the one who is observed. See what talent do you have. See where do you fit when we go and move in the subsequent slide, because there is whole lot of things that you can actually do. Okay, so there are multiple careers in the IP industry. In fact, it's not there on this slide, but I definitely want to make this point that in US and in Europe, the IP driven or IP led industries are the ones who are the best pay masters. Similarly, people who have IP knowledge, they are the ones who are better earning their salaries as against those who don't have the understanding. Um, in fact, in many countries, IP has contributed immensely to the country's GDP as well. India has emerged definitely as an R&D hub. We've got multiple opportunities in the product development, in the law firms, startups, government agencies. In fact, there is no government agency, I would say, in India that is not talking about IP, right? Everyone has this in their mind. They're talking about it. And therefore, this becomes very important to understand what do we have in our platter if if we want to understand the nuances of IP. Job opportunities, it varies, it changes dramatically. It could be a searching activity, and we are going to talk about it in the subsequent slide, what it is all about. But in brief, there could be IP experts. There are IP experts who are very good searchers of the prior art, which means that any intellectual property that you create when you go for a registration with a government office to give you the right over it, that property, that intellectual property has to be new. It cannot be copied one, right? And as a researcher, you need people expertise, having an expertise who can do this search for you. There are freedom to operate analyses which are given by such experts. You could be one of those. It doesn't need a rocket science. All it needs is your passion. All it needs is your basic education and some of the the IT usage and the experience to become a searching expert. Similarly, there are people who could pick up a job profession in the field of IP to prepare reports. These could be market reports as well. Now, you've heard about so many different names of thought leaders, whether it's Grant Thornton or it is KPMG or it is Deloitte. So many are there. They have got special division on IP as well, where they create a lot of research reports, market reports for different companies, because this helps them in building a good market strategy. You could be one of those. Similarly, there you could be one of the patent drafters, because when you go for filing of patent, you need to draft it in a legal format so that it is admissible by the government. Similarly, you could be a trademark or a design filer. You could be in the field of prosecution as well. And what does prosecution mean is that where you are helping the inventor and the researcher to talk to the patent office or to talk to the intellectual property office and get the issue sorted, so that that IP can progress to the stage of grant. Similarly, there could be IPR portfolio managers. The one could be in the side of opposition as well, who feels that this IP shouldn't have been granted, or this IP doesn't stand the characteristics that it should have been granted. One could oppose it, so you can be expert in that domain as well. It could be in the area of litigation or licensing as well. Now, I think one more thing that I should have put is you could also be in the domain of IP as a bridge between the government and the industry, which is in the space of policy making, in the space of IPR policy. For example, I'm just taking a name of ASSOCHAM or any other apex chamber of commerce that we have in our country. We've got specialized personnel in those chamber of commerce who have got a good knowledge of IP, and they are really helping industry and government to connect better. And like you just heard when Gaurav opened up this webinar for today, he is one from ASSOCHAM, and he's also working in the IPR division. There are so many others who are working in the IP division. They've got expertise over there. So I think IPR policy is another IPR domain or the career that one could look at. And I think I should have put it, I just completely forgot. But that's one of the very important and upcoming one. Similarly, if I have to take my example and the other counterparts in other companies, even at the level of corporate, people need IPR policy specialists who could actually work with the government and the industry to see what best needs to be done in India to make it to make the job easy, right? You need to make investments better, and IP becomes a very important component. And every corporate now, because it's a global economy, it's a competitive economy, innovation is being given more focus. There are many multinationals and other companies that are coming up with their manufacturing capabilities over here. They need IP specialists, and you could be one of those. So IPR policy, I thought I should have put, but that is another interesting area, and it's absolutely interesting because you are then not confined to only one area of IP, but cutting across sector. Because in this industry, you can actually be jack of all trades as well as simultaneously master of all trades. Why? Because most of the times when you are talking about IP, you have to talk about several sectors. There is biotechnology, nanotechnology, biogenetic engineering, manufacturing, telecommunications, software, product development. So many other industries are there, and there is a cross culmination of each one of those to bring best of the products in the country, in the world, and therefore industry or the world needs people who have specialization in intellectual property. And again, I am just re-emphasizing on what I already said, that you could be one of those. So here I have just pasted a sheet. I am not sure if you can see the source, but it might be there at the end of the session, because it might be there in the footnote that we are not able to see right now. But then, there could be different job titles that you could own. You could be an IPR attorney, and you need, just the law. You can be a law graduate plus some diplomas in IP. And experience in IP also helps. You could be an IPR paralegal, IP researchers, an IP blogger as well, an IP researcher or a mentor. You can be an academician talking and teaching about IP like we are doing right now. You can be an IP auditor or evaluator. In fact, हमारी country में बहुत ही dearth है of IP evaluators. Today we don't find specialists who can value someone's IP, because आप IP grant करवा के या करके you cannot just sit idle. It remains to be otherwise just a piece of paper. You need to get it valued, and you need IP specialists. You could be one of those. Why not? I mean, you could pick up this profession and do something in that area, which can help banks, which can help inventors recognize their IP and also value it, audit it. In fact, the companies that I just spoke about in the initial slide about KPMG, Deloitte, Grant Thornton, and so many others, they are also doing IP audits for the companies. And then you could be a patent engineer, you could be a patent or an IP examiner, right, at the patent office. It should have been put here in the slide, just missed it out. But you can be a patent examiner as well. Okay, so here is a small snapshot of who all are these, what are their key activities, उनको करना क्या पड़ता है, at least वो तो पता चले. So IP attorney, who is he? He is primarily a person who is helping you to identify, number one, your IP, maybe at certain stages, who helps in procurement of new ideas which are worth protection. He helps you in IP registration. So if you are an IP attorney, you can also help startups, because जिस तरह से गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने startup initiative launch किया, it's an excellent initiative. In fact, if you look at the definition of startup, it is tech savvy and they have to be IP savvy. तो उनको तो चाहिए ना somebody who can help them in protecting and registering their IP, because startups you cannot expect that they have complete nuances of IP. They run their business also, or protection bhi karaye, so they need IP attorneys. IP management they do as well for their clients. You could be one of those. Similarly, another very interesting area in the IP industry is to work as an IP paralegal. अब ये पैरालीगल कौन होते हैं? प्राइमरली ये लोग वो होते हैं जो कि लॉ फर्म्स में काम करते हैं या फिर कॉर्पोरेट्स में काम करते हैं, where they are assisting these specialists in that company or in that organization. They are the ones who actually do all paperwork, they do administrative work, they take care of your timings as to when is IP that needs to be filed, when it needs to be granted, when the communication has to go. So they keep complete track of the timelines of the files over there. So anybody who has an arts background, commerce background, or any other non-science background, primarily, can also be an IP paralegal. You don't need, I think, a law degree for that. If you've done your basic graduation, a post-graduation maybe as well, you can be an IP paralegal. You just have to understand the lingos of IP. You should know the basic about it, and then experience teaches you anyway. Okay, you could be IP licensing managers. In fact, मैं तो ये कहूँगी कि IP licensing manager is such an interesting opportunity, you see, because IP grant होने के बाद you need to monetize on it, right? You need to find out the right buyers for your IP. You need to assist people who can help in licensing your intellectual property to others so that you could earn. And therefore, this is a specialist who helps you do that. They are the IP licensing managers. What you need to be for this is your basic graduation, the post-graduation, some sort of IP exposure in the form of maybe you might have taken some course on IP, or a complete understanding of, you could be an inventor and a licensor both, right? Because the one who has invented the technology knows better what he has invented and would be in a position to better explain to the potential licensees as to what the invention is all about and how they can actually get benefited out of it. Similarly, in fact, IP licensing managers are very few in our country, and corporates really need them. You could be one of those for sure. IP bloggers, where there are so many IP blogs that you find today. You could be one writing for those blogs, like we have got even for IPTSE, the Intellectual Property Talent Search Examination. If you look at the web portal, there is an IP blog over there, and we encourage participation from talent across the country to write to us if you want to be blogger with us, with IPTSE. And what all you need is a good grip over English. You need to understand the nuances of IP to be able to write something. Similarly, besides being an IP blogger, you could also be a content creator or a social media specialist. As I'm talking, I'm just trying to gather new avenues which you may not find in the slide, but thinking aloud and considering the experience, we certainly need certain social media specialists who have a complete understanding of IP. If not complete, at least the basic understanding of IP, because they will be able to then create a better buzzword and lift the social media content, really make it have a better outreach. If they themselves know what IP is all about, only then they can create a content, right? Otherwise, we'll be always focused or relying on somebody else to write all of that for you. So one could be an IP social media specialist as well. Plus, one could be an IP auditor and evaluator. I think we've already spoken about it, that there is um, a great opportunity for somebody who has specialization in that, and there are quite a few that you find globally, and one can learn from them. I think there is nothing that can teach you in theory how to be a best IP evaluator or an auditor. There is no specific book that can teach you on that. I think it's all by experience. It's definitely all majorly by experience. um, if you've worked with some inventor, he knows उसने कितना मेहनत किया है, कितना R&D में काम किया है, or what his intellect has gone into it. And then you can also find out market में क्या चल रहा है, how market is placing a value on that IP, and accordingly, the valuation is done. And there are so many different ways. So this is one area. IP faculty is another very um, interesting domain in the space of academia. So people can be involved in university research. There are teachers, IP teachers that you find in the law faculties, in the management centers of different universities. Similarly, there could be IP researchers and also IP mentors. IP mentors are primarily the ones who give mentorship. So, for example, if today you look at the website of the patent office, they have hired quite many IP facilitators or IP mentors who can help startups to navigate their invention. In fact, they are primarily also hired by SMEs, because at the level of SMEs, there is so much going on. Being a small organization, there are opportunities are umpteenth. Sometimes IP is generated as a fallout of serendipity. Maybe you have not thought of anything, but while you are on job, you might come up with something, and you may not know how to protect. If at all you have an IP, that is where you need IP mentors. Similarly, IP event managers. These are primarily required at the law firms or the Apex Chamber of Commerce, or any event management company that is involved into events related to IP, such as one that we are doing today. They help in hosting IP webinars, seminars, interactive debates, IP polls, and you could be one of those. I think primarily those are the ones who may wish to pick up this as their career, who are from the management side, and who've got the passion and who've got some creative and innovative bent. Similarly, we've got patent analysts, searchers. The patent analyst or searchers. For example, there are people who can review your patent applications. See, hota kya hai, usually corporates mein at least, in-house they draft the patent application, और जो corporate होती है, they have to primarily file, they wish to primarily file their intellectual property in several different countries, because IP is something which is territorial. For example, patent is territorial. If you have protected it in one country, let's say India, and not in any other country, you cannot stop infringement in those countries. So there are let's say patent drafted in-house. People really need specialists who can help the companies, researchers protect that IP in several other countries, because the requirement for filing IP application may vary, and it really varies from country to country. So you need someone who can review your patent application, make it more clear, concise, put it in a summary form, and therefore it becomes extremely important. I can see some questions in the chat session. I think we can take some of those, and it really makes me very happy that you are posting your questions, which means you were hearing and I'm being heard. And it also tries to make the entire session very, very interactive. So it says how far students are aware. This question has come from Dr. Muthu Lakshmi, um, where she's where the question is being asked how far students are aware about IP and what is their attitude and perception towards IP career. A very important question, and I would say that there is a mixed feeling. There are very few people in the students community who have understanding of IP. One, they may not be even knowing about intellectual property, right? Because unfortunately, in our country, IP is not a subject matter that is taught at school level. It is not a subject matter which is mandatory even at the UG or PG level, correct? And I'm sure that Government of India is trying to come up with the plans where it becomes mandatory, if at all. But this was one of the key reasons why we initiated this competitive examination called Intellectual Property Talent Search Exam, so that through this examination we can not only sensitize students community about the role of IP, but also test them on their knowledge and finally certify them, right? So yes, you're right. There is not much awareness, but we are progressing, and I'm hoping that a lot better will happen. And also, there is a question by yourself: how far IP is used to PhD students by PhD students in their career? Well, I would say that the answer is the same. Whether it's the research at the the person at a UG level, PG or a PhD level, the understanding of IP is either nil or minuscule. There are very few who knows it, because at a PhD level, again, when you come actually from school and progress from different educational work, you were never exposed. The students were never exposed to IP, and therefore it is quite right on their part to have to be completely naive in this field. But now I'm finding that there are a lot of issues, where some PhD students might have copied someone's work and was litigated at a later stage. There are some professors also who did not know about IP much, and while they were preparing the research, they did not know whether what they are doing is actually belonging to them or may have been copied from somewhere. So yes, there is a lot of awareness that needs to be generated, but I think we are on a very right path. And as a country as a whole, there is a lot of focus now being put to make this entire student community, the young mind, learn about it right at the very early stage, so that they can come out to be a better individual, not only with respect to protecting and enforcing their own IP, but also helping others do so. Um, so we were talking about different career opportunities, and we were on this slide. And there could be an opportunity to become a patent proofreader. Who is he? He is the one who actually proofreads your intellectual property, um, the document that you prepare, because most of the times there could be typographical errors, there could be some issues where it is not coming in a proper format. There could be a lot of things which could lead to spelling errors, and so it has to be put in a very, very nice format, and therefore patent proofreaders become a very important area or a profession that industry needs, that inventors, startups need. Similarly, one could be a patent docketing personnel. He's the one who actually keeps track of the entire deadlines. I would say that patent docketing falls under IP paralegal work broadly, because he's the one who is keeping track of everything. He's the one who has software knowledge. He knows how to run computer. He knows how to put documents in a software form, because today the IP offices are actually encouraging filing of applications in the electronic format rather than physical format, and therefore patent docketing personnel becomes very important for all of them. One could be an Indian patent agent as well. Now, who is he or who is she? So the patent agent is the one who can practice before the controller. Now, what does it mean? So patent agent is a certification which is granted by the Government of India to an individual after clearing an exam. So there is an examination which is held by the Indian Patent Office, and there are certain criteria. There are eligibility criteria to become one. Um, and therefore a patent agent can actually practice in front of controller, prosecute your patent application. He can actually talk to the controller and give him nuances of innovation and the invention in the patent application. He can help in removing the, in giving reply to the objections that are being raised by the patent office. So patent agent is extremely important other area of profession. So there is a question in the chat window by Ruchita, and she's asking, will you send a certificate? Well, please ask the organizers. Um, uh, it is already there on the e-flyer. You will be given e-certificates. If you have already registered for this webinar, you would certainly receive it on your registered email ID, maybe in a week or 2 weeks' time. There is a question from Tushar Srivastav, where he is asking if we can explain a bit more on the difference between IP attorney and a patent agent. So IP attorney is a very big category. It's a broad category. It's all about intellectual property as a bigger entity. It includes patent, trademark, copyright. It includes designs, geographical indication, and all other forms of IP. So an IP attorney is the one, an IP attorney, right? So IP itself signifies that he's an attorney who can prosecute your different forms of intellectual property. Plus, one of the key difference between an attorney and an agent is this, that the agent cannot go in the court of law and litigate. An IP attorney can, because a patent attorney has a law degree with him, a patent agent may not have. So for you to become, so if a patent agent is already there and he has a law degree, then he can actually be a IP attorney instead of just calling himself as a patent agent, because then he can go to the court of law and litigate the IP matter. So that's the key difference between an attorney and the agent. I hope it is clear. Uh, I hope it is clear, Tushar, the question that you asked about the basic difference. So this is the basic difference. Plus, the patent agent has to clear the examination of which is organized by the Government of India, by the Patent Office. A IP attorney doesn't have to clear that exam which patent agent has to clear. An IP attorney has to have his LLB degree in hand. And also registration with the Bar Council of India so that he can go to the court and litigate the matters. Okay, so next on this slide, I think we have covered all the parts on this slide. Unless if there are any questions, please let me know so that we can clear them out right away. But thank you so much, all of you, for posting your questions. It really helps not only to clear your doubts, but the doubts of your peers who are attending this webinar. So thank you, Tushar, Ruchita, and also Shravan Kumarji, Narendraji, and you all have, given your questions in the chat window. I would encourage others to also ask anything that you have. So there is another question by Gunashekaran. I hope I have pronounced your name correctly, but forgive me if I have not. So there is a question: institutes to learn LLB in IP. I don't know what you mean by that. If you can just give it a little bit more clarity on your question. But yes, there are several institutes where there are LLB programs run. IP is just an elective. So when I did my LLB from one of the universities, IP was not a mandatory subject. You could only pick and choose, unlike your company law or which are mandatory, right? The corporate law, Hindu law, Muslim law, or the Indian jurisprudence, constitutional law. These were all mandatory for you to go through when you were to pursue your LLB. IP is never is never a mandatory subject in the LLB degree. I think there are only few institutes that provide that as a mandatory one, but there is entire set of institution, which is one institution, sorry, a big one, IIT Kharagpur, the RGIOPL Center, which is Rajiv Gandhi Intellectual Property Law Center, which provides 3 years of intensive program in the intellectual property space. So that is one that I can think of where there is IP fully taught in all respect. So there is a question by Shivani about please provide some preparation tips to IPTSE, and we will go through it in last couple of slides. Shivani, so let's just hold on to your question. Let's just reserve your questions until then, and we'll talk about it at that minute. Is that okay, Shivani? And then there is a question by Guna Shekaran again about whether the government colleges provide it. So I would say that it's the same situation everywhere, that it is not yet mandatory. So therefore, you'll find this usually as an elective. But as I've already mentioned, IIT Kharagpur is the one which provides 3-year intensive course curriculum for those who have already done their undergraduation. And it is primarily only meant for those who are from the science stream, from technology and from engineering. So from the science and technology background can actually go through that. Tushar is asking a question. When we say that IP attorney can be a patent agent, but a patent agent cannot be IP attorney, right, ma'am? So I think vice versa is not true. The only key difference that I would like to re-emphasize, for an IP attorney, you need an LLB degree, correct? And patent agent is the one. Now, for a patent agent, you may have an LLB degree already, but to be called as a patent agent, you have to crack that exam, which is held by Government of India. Is that clear enough now, Tushar? Let me know if it is still not. So for an IP attorney, you don't have to clear the Government of India's patent agent examination. A patent agent, to have that tag in his name, he has to get through that exam, whether or not he or she is a LLB, holds a LLB already. Yes, RGIOPL, which is Rajiv Gandhi School of Intellectual Property Law, IIT Kharagpur, which I was talking about. Lakshmipati is asking, where can we enroll IP attorney, madam? IP attorney is not an enrollment. A patent agent is an enrollment where you have to clear that exam, like I said. An IP attorney is the one who has a LLB degree and has chosen IP as a career. He is the one who is actually can go to the court of law and litigate. So there is no registration except as an attorney anyway with the LLB degree. You would have registered yourself at the Bar Council of India. That's the only thing that you require, plus IP experience, which will call you to become an IP attorney. But we can come back to you with a better answer at a later stage. So Vaishnavi is asking, can you please give an idea about the pay scales? Well, it's a very good question, but not an easy one to answer, because Vaishnavi, the kind of IP professions that we are talking about, these are myriad, and these are so different. It requires such a different experience, and the educational qualification, it may change. And it also depends on who you are. Basically, are you a fresher? Are you a one with a lot of experience already? But if you are a fresher, let's say, let's say you're a fresher and you're a patent agent, you have already cracked the patent agent examination, and you want to apply in any law firm. Again, law firms provide different salary structure depending upon how big that law firm is, who are the clients of that law firm. But to go by with the start, I think very easily you can get a good handsome amount, which unlike to your other peers, who don't have an IP understanding as much, may not be earning. But even if initially the amount given is very less or reasonably fine, but going forward, if you have a passion, if you really do a lot good, then sky is the limit. You can actually earn a lot. And it's not that you can be only one of these that we are discussing. There could be multifarious. You could be you could actually wear multiple hats. You can be an IP academician, earn from that, teach. You can be a patent agent, prosecute application on behalf of others, earn. You can be a IP blogger, post your content, create a YouTube channel, earn from YouTube. So there are, you can also be a IP mentor to a startup, earn from there. So don't think about IP as a restrictive field in a very particular domain. You can actually be, like I already said, that you can actually wear multiple hats and earn from different ways. You just have to have a priority and balance it out. So another question is about is from Mubarak Khan. He asks about, don't you think IPR should be compulsory subject in law courses? Well, being from a IP profession, I would definitely recommend that. But I think there are a lot of plans by the government um, to make it as a part of the course curriculum, right? So that even if it is a part of course curriculum, then at least a person knows the lingo. The person knows that there is something called as IP and will definitely elect for it, even if it is elective at a later stage, right? The only thing is that right now there is no exposure at a very young stage when you are still studying. So there is another question from Jennifer. Can I get access to your slides after the lesson? I haven't thought about it yet, whether these slides can be made available to all of you, but we'll think about it. We'll see if these can be made available, because it's again an intellectual property, and it really takes a lot of effort in making all of this. But your point well taken. We'll make sure that we come back to you with an answer on this. We'll think about it if the slides are available for circulation. Then there is a question from Sambal. I don't know if I've pronounced your name properly. How can an IP person help in mentoring startups? Well, there is no problem in that, because if you are an IP personnel, you have got understanding of IP. There are a lot of startups who need your help. Now you just look at the DPIT and the Indian Startup Initiative, and how Government of India has made it mandatory for every startup to register with DPIT. Every year, startups are registering themselves in huge numbers. You look at their definition of startup, they have to be IT and IP savvy, which means already those who are registered have IP track in their mind. Maybe they are inventing something, they are creating. You can go and mentor them, right? These lists are not hidden. You know, you can be on your LinkedIn. You can just chat with the startups and say that you are available to help them. And I'm sure that startups will turn up to you and seek your advice. You could also, be mentor to the patent office if you are a patent agent. If you've got that basic qualification that they need, you could also be a mentor over there and be listed at the patent office's website to help mentor these startups. Is that clear, Rafat? Just let me know if I made myself clear and explained you. So next question. So I don't have any more question right now in the chat window. I'll wait for your questions to come. Until then, let's carry on with the next slide. So other IP professions. There are several other IP professions. For example, you could be a patent engineer, right? You could be a IP consultant. You could be an IP advisor. You could be a licensing and valuation expert, a patent prosecutor, a portfolio manager. Now, what does he do? Portfolio manager manages your entire IP portfolio. अभी एक स्टार्टअप के पास तो इतना टाइम नहीं है ना, या फिर किसी और कंपनी के पास जिसके पास इतना इनोवेशन उसने करना है कि वो पूरा पोर्टफोलियो रखे. So they need portfolio managers who can help them in managing the portfolio. And it is quite all inclusive. As a portfolio manager, you have to keep a complete track of what all IP does that company own? Is it a trademark, copyright, patent only? And then similarly, when the company is undergoing any merger and acquisition, or company is being sold out, at that time IP portfolio manager's role become very important, because he's the one who has managed your entire track record. Sorry. And therefore, at the time of those commercial transactions, IP is talked about. There is a huge monetization at that minute, at that level, where they say, okay, how much IP portfolio do you have? Is it commercializable? Have you ever commercialized your IP to anyone? How much are you earning out of license? How much have you been paying outside in the form of license to others? Every bit of IP is being considered at the time of those trade, that transaction between the companies. So that's how portfolio managers have a great importance. Similarly, we've already talked about the academicians. So who can be your recruiters? Who are the ones where you can do a job? Your recruiters can be the law firms, both domestic as well as international. In fact, international law firms need you more, need an Indian IP face more. Why? Because these international IP law firms, they've got international clientele, and they want to have their IP protected in this country. And therefore they need somebody who knows about intellectual property well, who knows about law of the country, and can help them protect the IP. There could be government organization. In fact, there are special divisions in several government departments where IP professionals are required. Just to give you an example, CPAM, DPIT, the Center for Intellectual Property Management, they are the ones. This is the center which is specialized in intellectual property. They do a lot of trainings, awareness programs. They do a lot of enforcement related sensitization. They do a lot of public debates. That is where one can work. At the level of Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, they are running. They have, granted a lot of IP facilitation centers to a lot of stakeholders, relevant personnel. You can be part of those facilitation centers as well. I missed to put this on the slide, but IP facilitation center is one such area that could be your potential recruiter. Now, SHM has 2 IP facilitation centers doing very well, and such other facilitation centers are available at so many other places as well. So that could be one of your recruiter. Similarly, at the IP office, you can be a patent examiner, you can be a trademark examiner, you can be a copyright examiner. So, well, not a copyright examiner, I would say, sorry, but a patent examiner, a trademark, and the other at the level of IP office, who can examine the patent applications. Also, yes, also in the copyright, why not? You can have a career there at the level of government office. Similarly, at the World Trade Organization, you can be also part of WIPO in some manner. World Intellectual Property Organization. I mean, you'll have to look up to their website and see what all they need. But these are, I'm just throwing open a list of recruiters for you who you can look at. Also, I should have listed academic institutions can be your recruiters. Incubation centers at the academic institutions who could be your recruiters, because they are incubating different ideas. Okay, so SHM says that Gaurav is writing that the session will close automatically within 10 minutes. So let's quickly go through it. And then we take the questions at a later stage. But these are different career opportunities we've already talked about. And now about the IPTSC, a bit what intellectual property talent search examination is all about. So just let me see if we can watch this very short video. Let us give it a minute. Sorry, not a minute, a few seconds. Sorry. Okay, so this was a short video. And so just to quickly wrap up the session, Intellectual Property Talent Search Examination is a competitive examination. I would say the only one in the country as far as I believe it to be so. And this is a proctored examination which is done annually by us. And SOCHAM, Ericsson, different government bodies, Ministry of Science and Technology, MSME, AICT in the past 2 years, they've all partnered, they've all supported IPTSE initiative, and there are several students who register for it. And this gives them a competitive edge because they go through the course material, they go through the reading material, and then finally they take the examination. And so it tests their knowledge and finally gives them the certificate that he or she is an individual who knows about IP. So I hope that this IPTSE certificate, this examination comes to be of great help to all of you. There are customized course materials that we have prepared, and it has, believe me or not, this has taken intensive work from all of us as a team to come up with a course content, a course curriculum, which is specially tailor-made for different areas. So we've got different course curriculum and the IP examination for researchers, for startups, for fashion industry, for media and entertainment, for the science background, which includes pharmacy, nanotechnology, biopharmaceutical, and all of that. So there are different people who come from different domains will get access to a course material and the course curriculum, which is available on the website. At the end of the slide, the link is provided. I would encourage, we just closed the registrations day before. I think 15th, few days ago. What's the date today? We just closed the registrations for this third edition. We'll be soon coming up with the fourth edition sometime in the month of June, July. Keep a tab on this website so that you continue to receive important information. But this is one talent search examination that requires you to go through the course material. Also, as a part of, as a team, we sensitize all the students on different aspects of IP. There are such webinars that we will continue to do, and these webinars will be posted also on the IPTSE website and our social media handles, which is at Facebook, YouTube channel that we have. I would encourage you to go and subscribe to those and follow those so that you continue to receive important updates on what we as IPTSE team are up to next to help you, enable you. And we see you again then. So Gaurav, let me know if there is still a time so that we can take any questions, but anything which is related to this IP competitive examination, which we also call as IP, it's a kind of an IP Olympiad. Just like math, science, Olympiad, we've already gone through when we were kids. So it's similar to that. It's a virtual IP Olympiad, I would say, which we call by this name, Intellectual Property Talent Search Examination. And it's a talent that we are hunting for, and therefore we've kept the name like that. But please feel free to send any of the queries that you have at inquiry@iptse.com. And then I think I am done with my address. But there is one question, what are the top IPF firms currently and what are the best places to intern for students interested in IP as a career? You can intern with us as Ericsson, you can intern with SOCHAM, you can intern with several law firms, and there are so many law firms. I don't want to name any, I don't want to single out any because I should not be seen as advertising any of those, but reach out to SOCHAM, reach out to me, or reach out to inquiry@iptse.com. They will give you the information about so many law firms are there, where you can intern. Somebody also asked the question how to prepare for IPTSE examination. Well, the only thing is your hard work. You have to go through two course books that we have made, and these are available to the students. The moment they register, they get within 48 hours, I guess, they get a link to those course material. Plus, there is an entire course curriculum which is available on IPTSE website. It's separate for school students. It is separately done for university students, educational students. You can go through it. There is a whole lot of information available on the website, and keep watching these videos, keep subscribing to the YouTube channel and the Facebook. As I said, other social media handles such as Twitter or Instagram, LinkedIn, because we keep posting our activities over there, such as the one that we are doing today, right? So similar, if you want to get further sessions, be part of further sessions. If you're part of the social media as well, you'll get to know. Thank you so much. With this, I would like to end and hand it over to Gaurav. Gaurav, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjit. It was a pleasure having you here. I'm sure views have benefited our attendees, and today on this, we would like to end the session and also requesting all the attendees to please share your questions. We'd be happy to answer them. Share your questions regarding the internship or the IPTSC exam or any kind of question you have in the mind regarding this or the IPR or how can we make the next session better. Please reach out to us at inquiry@iptsc.com, or you can also reach out to the other contact which will be providing you on your thank you emails. And with this, we end our session. And thank you, Dr. Sheetal, for coming again, and also all the attendees. We sign off from here. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Stay safe.